afternoon, everybody. How wonderful to have you all here for peace in the world, for remembering. Today is the 50th anniversary since the end of the American War in Vietnam. Welcome. We're veterans for peace, and we stand for peace in the world, peace all over the world, and we want to remind you about the importance of today. Hundreds of thousands, in fact, and I'll wait for the helicopters to go by.
Looking off the ceiling.
Sorry.
Exactly. It's one of the Hueys. About to land and get pushed off the ceiling.
You know what? And sorry, you all, I should have introduced myself. My name is Susan Schnall. I'm president of Veterans for Peace. And a veteran of the Vietnam-era war. I took care of those people who came back wounded in body and soul from fighting in Vietnam, from seeing what terrible ravages war causes. I had patients who spent years in the hospital, whose bodies and souls never healed. We need to learn from the commemoration today, 50 years after the end of the American war in Vietnam, that we are saying no more war. No more war.
No more war. No more war.
We left 3 million Vietnamese dead in Vietnam after a 10-year war there. 3 million Vietnamese. That includes men, women, and children. And as we witness what is going on today in Gaza, we are reminded that whether you are sick and in an ambulance, whether you are in a hospital, whether you are 2 months old, 5 years old, or 30 years old, you can be considered the enemy if you're Palestinian and you live in Gaza. And we say today we need to learn from the killing fields of Vietnam, from the war that we unleashed in Cambodia. The war in Cambodia started with the bombings that we began in 1970 and unleashed the Khmer Rouge that continued to torture and kill the Cambodians. So we may not have been there in person, but we unleashed, we destabilized Cambodia, and we did the same thing in Laos. Today, however, is the time to remember, to think about all the damage we caused. The United States was in Vietnam for 10 years that we know about. 10 years. 58,000 American troops were killed in Vietnam. That does not include those who came home with illnesses like Agent Orange, those who came home with contamination from Agent Orange dioxin that they passed on to their children, to the next generation who were born with severe birth defects. So we don't just impact when the guns are firing and when the bombs are falling. War stays forever in the memories and in the bodies of those who participated in it. And today, we certainly have our military-industrial complex that more than participates in what is going on in Gaza. And we say it needs to stop. The war in Gaza, the genocide of the people in Gaza, the fact that people are being killed whether they're a few months old or they're 90 years old. Lives are important. We, Veterans for Peace, know about this. We need to educate the American public. and say, we serve this country. We know about war. Unlike the person with bone spurs who sits in Washington, D.C. and continues to have war on the American people and war on Gazans and at 52 military bases all over this world. It is time that we, the people, say no more war. We veterans are here to say it. We're here to say it at this wall in this park that commemorates the memories of those soldiers from New York who died in the war. And I'll tell you, as somebody who has gone through the ravages of war, taking care of soldiers whose father died in the Second World War, whose mother was impacted her whole life by war and never got over it. We need to stop it. We need to be able to bring peace and security to people in the world rather than harm and killing.
And we can.
And we can. And Tarek's right. We can. We need to keep showing up and saying, those of us who have been to war, who have seen it, and those of us who know what war is, that we need to stop the violence and we need to stop the war. So I'm calling on all of us here and people who are listening to us. No more war.
No more
No more war.
No more war.
No more war.
No more war.
We have, thank you. We have flyers and papers that we use to educate people about what Veterans for Peace stands for, what we all stand for. So please take a copy of Peace and Planet News. And it's called Peace and Planet News because what we are calling for is peace on the planet. Human beings suffer when there's war. The planet suffers. All living things suffer. So we will again pledge ourselves to stop the horrific violence that is going on in Gaza that we are responsible for all over the world. Thank you all, and no more war.
No more war. No more war. No more war.
Just in case you don't know, I want to tell you something about Susan when she was a young lieutenant, a young Navy lieutenant out in California in the Bay Area. The day before a huge anti-war march, Susan got a friend to fly a small plane, and the two of them dropped thousands of leaflets over the military bases in the area, including over one aircraft carrier that they flew 100 feet over and dropped the flyer to attend it. And the next day, she showed up at the march, she spoke at the march in full uniform. And of course, for that, she was court-martialed. That's why we honor her. And she has never stopped her activism since then.
She was in the brig how long, Karen?
I want to read a poem by one of the founders, actually the surviving founder of Veterans for Peace, Doug Rawlings, who was also, many of you may know him, he was poet laureate, and he's still active, he's an incredible person. This is a poem he wrote. It's called The Girl in the Picture. If you're a non-vet, a survivor of sorts, she'll come to you across the decades, casting a shadow in the dying light of your dreams, naked and 9, terror in her eyes. Of course, you will have to ignore her if you wish to survive over the years. But then your daughters will turn 9, and then your granddaughters 9, and the shadows lengthen. So you will have no choice on that one night, screaming streaming down the ridge road, lights off under a full moon. She's standing in the middle of the road, still naked and 9, terror in her eyes. Now you must stop to pick her up and carry her back home to where she came from, to that gentle village where the forgiving and the forgiven gather at high noon. There are no shadows. That's what Doug wrote. So I'm just going to throw 2 more cents in here. What Susan said about gathering and about showing up. Now, at this time, when we are faced with a fascist, totalitarian takeover of this country, the eradication of any kind of democracy that we ever knew under Trump and Vance and Musk and his people, it is more important that we stand up. It is so important that we stand up and that we recognize community, because we have to survive this. This is not going to go away, and it's important that we all survive it. And by standing up and being together is a way that we survive it, and we're not silent. So we must stand up for truth and everything that we believe in, and not go away. Thank you. Anybody else?
30-year music teacher, I'm encouraging people to sing. Come on. Jane, get over here. Yes. We'll start out with a piece. It's page 2. It's from the Black spiritual, Oh Freedom, with some wonderful words written by our own Alice Sutter, who's busy raising hell in Washington, D.C. right now. That's the only reason she's not here. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Palestine must be free. Ceasefire now, we cry. Let Gaza live and thrive. We stand strong in solidarity. No more bombs, everyone. No more bombing. No more bombing. Palestine must be free. We stand strong in solidarity. Oh, freedom, one last time. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Palestine must be free. Ceasefire now, we cry. Let Gaza live and thrive. We stand strong in solidarity. All right, on page 1. Genocide, stop. Genocide, stop. Genocide. Our hearts cry out to all who died. Stop arming Israel now. We must stop this genocide. Stop. Stop! Our hearts cry out to all who died. Stop arming. United Nations must accept responsibility. Palestinian people have no safety or security. Enforce our international law. That's what you're here to do. This slaughter can't continue. It must start with you. We must stop this genocide. Stop genocide. Stop genocide. Cry out to all who died. Stop arming Israel now. this genocide. Stop genocide. Stop genocide. Our hearts cry out to all that economic sanctions now.